Hello, I'm Regid Ahmed with BBC World News. Our top stories. Iraq's Prime Minister says all is under control as thousands of protesters set up camp outside the country's parliament. And Leicester City fans are buzzing with excitement as their team could be crowned Premier League champions. The Iraqi Prime Minister has ordered security forces to arrest the demonstrators who stormed Parliament during protests on Saturday. Haider al-Abadi has also been touring Baghdad's Green Zone partly to dispel rumours that he fled the area. Thousands of supporters of the radical Shia cleric Muqtada al-Sadr broke in on Saturday and many remain in the Green Zone. Well, Ahmed Maher is our correspondent in Baghdad. Ahmed, can you tell us more about what you're hearing?
Yes, the president of the country, Fuad Massoum, is still meeting with the Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi and the Speaker of the Parliament, Salim Jabouri, along with the representatives of the main political powers in Parliament to find, or in a bid to find a way out of the current crisis. And basically, their meeting is focused on finding a way to negotiate with the protesters who now staged a sit-in, an open sit-in in the Green Zone or the International Zone, which is home to the Parliament, the Cabinet, the Ministry of Defence, foreign embassies, UN offices. In a nutshell, it is the seat of power in Iraq. And as we saw on television yesterday, hundreds of protesters in an unprecedented scene stormed the Parliament out of their frustration and anger of the long-awaited cabinet reshuffle. The Prime Minister and the Parliament failed successively over the past 3 weeks to reach an agreement on the new cabinet reshuffle in his reform drive.
How much do we know about who these protesters are? Are they all Muqtada al-Sadr supporters, or are there some other groups in there as well?
Well, most of them are loyalists to the Shia cleric turned politician Muqtada al-Sadr. And an emphatic case in point, when Muqtada al-Sadr delivered his speech yesterday after the Parliament failed anew to reach the sufficient number of MPs to hold another session to vote on the cabinet reshuffle. He delivered his speech and he boycotted the political process, the entire political process, which was interpreted by people here and many Iraqis as the thumbs up for the protesters in Tahrir Square in central Baghdad to storm the International Zone and turn their protest from the Tahrir Square to the Parliament.
Ahmed Maher, thank you very much. Well, meanwhile, the southern Iraqi city of Salmawa has been hit by a twin suicide bombing. At least 14 people have been killed and many more have been wounded. One blast was at a provincial government building in the centre of the city and the other at a nearby bus station. It's not yet known who was behind the attacks. Police in the Turkish city of Istanbul have used water cannons and tear gas to disperse a group of protesters attempting to hold a May Day rally in Taksim Square. Security in the city has been hugely increased for the day, and the only sanctioned rally will have to take place close to the airport.
Well, it's become a fairly annual routine now here, Rajed, where basically the police block off the entire central area of Istanbul, Taksim Square, particularly the iconic square in the heart of the city, to try to stop rallies from taking place there. So protesters gather elsewhere. They gathered in Beşiktaş, which is an area down by the Bosphorus, and there was tear gas, there was water cannon. As the protesters tried to break through police lines to try to reach Taksim Square, and this happens almost every year now. Really, it's a clash of the of the authorities against the protesters. Several people were detained here, but also in Ankara as well. Turkey, of course, on high alert at the moment, and so May Day rallies were called off, cancelled, and blocked basically in other parts of the country because of the growing security threat here.
And we are also hearing from Reuters that toll is sitting at 32 dead. We'll keep you updated. In other news from Turkey, there's been a powerful explosion outside the main police station in southeastern Turkish city of Gaziantep. Ambulances are at the scene and one policeman is reported to have been killed in the blast. The region has witnessed numerous attacks by Kurdish militants following the collapse of a ceasefire last July. Barack Obama has been entertaining journalists, politicians and celebrities at the annual White House Correspondents' Dinner. It's the final time he'll speak at the event, which features the president doing his best to tell a few jokes to the people who've written so much about him. A warning: the following report by our Washington correspondent Laura Bicker does contain flash photography.
This is when Hollywood and political players come together. Known in Washington as the Nerd Prom, it's become a hot ticket. But for all the dramatic entrances, it was a French bulldog who stole the show. Carrie Fisher from Star Wars brought Gary as her date. Barack Obama has left a legacy of laughs, but this is the last of his presidency. So, of course, in this remarkable election year, his speech reflected on who will replace him. So a little hint of his favourite.
Next year at this time, someone else will be standing here in this very spot, and it's anyone's guess who she will be. But
as for the Republican frontrunner, well, he wasn't off the hook.
And it is surprising. You've got a room full of reporters, celebrities, cameras, and he says no. Is this dinner too tacky for the Donald? What could he possibly be doing instead?
The US Commander-in-Chief went on to talk about life after the presidency, where he dreams of becoming a couch commander. Whatever he does, and whatever their differences, his comedy will be missed by many in the White House press corps.
And with that, I just have two more words to say. Obama out.
Laura Bicker, BBC News, Washington.
To sport now, and Sunday is a huge day for Leicester City Football Club. A win against Manchester United would see them crowned English Premier League champions. It would be a first league title not only for the club but also for their Italian manager Claudio Ranieri, who was only brought in last year. Well, Thailand is home to the club's owners and fans will be watching the game very closely. Let's go to Bangkok now, where Jonathan Head is. Jonathan, how big is football in Thailand?
Well, football is huge, but until recently, Leicester simply wasn't. In fact, a few years ago, you'd be very hard-pressed to find anybody in this country who really knew about them, and people who followed the Premier League closely would have known their name, but you could have probably counted the number of fans on just a few hands. It's very noisy here because this is the headquarters of King Power, the owners of Leicester City. They are hosting tonight a grand dinner and celebration, they hope, depending on the results at Old Trafford, for the fan base that has grown quite quickly recently. I mean, we're talking about probably many thousands of fans now. A lot of people are incredibly excited. You've got to remember, this is a football-mad country, but one where the national team itself has never done well. It's big in Southeast Asia. It's never done well in the World Cup. It's ranked 119th in the world. And so in terms of their own teams, they've always been relegated really to a level of mediocre performance. And now they have the possibility of a Thai-owned team actually winning the English Premier League. Is almost unbelievable for Thais, and certainly the numbers of supporters we see here, and it's certainly much bigger than just a few months ago, will doubtless grow enormously if they pull off that win tonight and actually win the league.
Jonathan, at what point did fans in Thailand, fans of football, become aware of Leicester's meteoric rise? Have they been watching from the start, or has it become, that awareness slowly grown into this kind of excitement?
Well, I think in many ways it echoes what's gone on back in England, because, you know, Leicester fans themselves in England are astonished. Remember, this is a team that only just avoided relegation last year. So ties in many ways have been taken by surprise, just as much as people back in Britain. But this, if they win, this will be the first tie-linked football team to achieve anything like this. So for ties, this is an almost unbelievable position to be in at the moment.
Jonathan Head in Bangkok, thank you very much. I bet he'll be watching. Well, coming up next, reporters, but stay with BBC World News. See you next.
Hello there. We'll take a look at the weather around the Middle East in just a moment. Let's head to Africa first of all. And for many in the south, it should be dry, a band of rain having cleared away by Monday. We've got the heavier rain across these central areas, and it's the long rains, of course, this time of the year across eastern parts of Africa, and that rain could be quite active, some heavy thundery downpours, maybe some further flooding. Across the north, a lot of dry weather, some dust storms really picking up though in some stronger winds through the Sahara. And we've got some changes to come in across the Middle East as well. You can see how we've got these showers from early on close to Baghdad, just to the north.